Chapter 21, So Pleased as to Lose One's Sense of Measure. Fatty, how could it be that they are awfully afraid to see you? Although he had long been friends with Yuan Chuling, Tang Xiu had never asked about Yuan Chuling's family situation. On the other hand, he also never raised the subject about his family in front of Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu only faintly knew that Yuan Chuling's parents did have hundreds of millions in assets but he was quite clueless about other things. Having been through the previous matter, Tang Xiu found that his buddy's identity was quite mysterious. Having heard Tang Xiu's question, a scarlet blush covered Yuan Chuling's round face. And with eyes full of an awkward expression, he answered, "Eldest brother, since things have been resolved, could you not dig any further?" Upon hearing his answer, Tang Xiu didn't speak and instead stared straight at Yuan Chuling. Eldest brother. I'm afraid, if I say it, under Tang Xiu's questioning gaze, Yuan Chuling was quickly defeated as he told everything with an embarrassed and ashamed expression about his relationship with the Eternal Growth Trading Company. 5 years ago, when the country vigorously cracked down and rectified the illegal usury company, Yuan Chuling's uncle seized the opportunity to purchase the Eternal Growth Trading Company and then became the company's boss. However, the kind of opportunistic, lazy, and irresponsible Yuan Chuling's uncle, Zhao Tailin, proved to have no ability. Even though he became the Eternal Growth Trading Co.'s owner, he didn't know how to run a business, and instead let the previous company's staff run the business, resulting in turmoil within the company. Although Yuan Chuling's parents had lent a hand, it took quite a long time to clean up his mess. Because Yuan Chuling often went in and out the Eternal Growth Trading Co., coupled with the unusual doting Zhao Tailin had toward Yuan Chuling, over time, everyone from the top to the bottom of the Eternal Growth Trading Company knew about his relationship with Zhao Tailin. They even regarded him as the Crown Prince Master. Having heard that the Eternal Growth Trading Company's true owner turned out to be Yuan Chuling's parents, a kind of died-down feeling sprouted out from Tang Xiu's heart, making him almost vomit blood as he looked at Yuan Chuling with an unspoken bitterness which even words were unable to convey. Thinking about as to how he and his mother had long been forced into a desperate situation for 6 months because of this Eternal Growth Trading Company, Tang Xiu could only feel that he had been wronged. Mixed feelings also enveloped Su Lingyun's heart, but at the next moment, with some effort, she was able to adjust her mood and then warmly greeted Yuan Chuling and asked him to sit, serving some tea and then skillfully cleaning up the house. Eldest brother, I'm really sorry. After my parents divorced, I rarely go to the Eternal Growth Trading Company anymore. Also, I haven't paid any attention to their specific businesses. Otherwise, this matter wouldn't have happened. Yuan Chuling was also perfectly aware of the inner circumstance within the Eternal Growth Trading Co., even at a glance. It could be seen that it was a complete mess, making his heart full of guilt and shame. This thing does not have anything to do with you. You don't need to blame yourself. Upon seeing Yuan Chuling's apologetic and regretful expression, Tang Xiu's heart also melted as he patted Yuan Chuling's shoulder before he curiously asked, "Anyways, as long as I've recalled, I have never given my address to you or anyone. How did you find it?" Eldest brother, what about the matter at the restaurant? That group of thugs had bashed the restaurant without reasons or cause. Do you need me to deal with it? As he simply shifted to the matter with the restaurant, Yuan Chuling asked in an excited manner. The restaurant matter has been resolved, but thanks for your concern though. Anyways, it's the second day of our month vacation, you're not going back to accompany your father and mother? Seeing his mother become motionless and speechless after having heard of the matter with the restaurant, Tang Xiu didn't hesitate to shift the topic. I. Eldest brother, I have yet to prepare my mind and heart, I just want to wait until the end of the college entrance examination, and then I will consider this matter afterward. Having raised the subject about his parents, Yuan Chuling's mood suddenly became gloomy and dejected. 10 minutes later, the room had been cleaned up and got a new look from Su Lingyun, and then the three of them took the leftover dishes in the kitchen and had dinner. At the dinner table, Su Lingyun threw full praises towards Tang Xiu's cooking skill while Yuan Chuling was devouring it as he himself almost wolfed down more than half of the dishes. Su Lingyun and Tang Xiu could only look at him with dumbfounded expressions. With Yuan Chuling's funny gags, the originally cold, dull, and sad atmosphere soon became cheerful and lively. Eldest brother, I remember that yesterday you said that this month you'll take the first grade, and now since all the tests have been finished, how much of a chance is there that you will take first grade? The topic unknowingly shifted around to the monthly test, Yuan Chuling asked with a nervous expression. Don't worry, when have I spoken empty words to you? Seeing Yuan Chuling's caring looks, Tang Xiu nodded and answered confidently. Just when Tang Xiu's words had finished, clang sounds were heard. As Tang Xiu followed the sound's direction, it turned out that the bowl suddenly fell from his mother's hands as she stared blankly at him. Xiu, did what you say just now is true? You can take this monthly test's first grade? Su Lingyun didn't clean up the bowl on the floor as her hands grabbed Tang Xiu's arm and asked with an excited expression. Mom, the monthly test's results should be coming out in 3 days, you will know the results then. Tang Xiu was naturally aware of the concern in his mother's heart. Tang Xiu knew that his mother had basically pinned almost all of her hopes on him. The car accident more than a year ago had almost devastated all the hopes his mother had. For more than a year, his mother had always been looking after him with meticulous care even though she had never shown any restlessness in front of him, but Tang Xiu also knew that his performance grades fell rapidly. The one who truly suffered from the pressures was not himself, but instead his mother, who was unconditionally bearing the pressure. And now, having suddenly learned that his performance grades had returned to his previous achievements, it was only natural for his mother to be excited. So you only need a month to catch up to your previous grades? Upon hearing Tang Xiu's affirmative answer, Su Lingyun was more excited. It's a given though. Whose son you are looking at anyway? Tang Xiu put on a smug face and replied. Great, great, I know that once your body is back to normal, your grades would soon also be coming back. Then, your father's soul in heaven will rest in peace. As Su Lingyun said these words, 2 lines of tears welled up although a smile covered her face this time. Having thoroughly understood Su Lingyun and Tang Xiu's expression from their eyes, Yuan Chuling at the side seemed to want to speak but hesitated as worries were drawn on his face. In this month's time, Yuan Chuling was also fully immersing himself into study. He was perfectly aware of the difficulties of how to improve one's grades. He had originally wanted to speak to Su Lingyun about the difficulty degree of improving the monthly test's grades from the bottom grade to reach the first grade. However, after seeing the joyful tears from Su Lingyun's face, he didn't have the heart to say it. When he saw Su Lingyun's pure concern and happiness for Tang Xiu and seeing the caring attention of a mother and child between Su Lingyun with Tang Xiu. At the same time, a slight envy filled Yuan Chuling's heart. It reminded him about when his mother decided to leave home. Gradually, Yuan Chuling's eyes became moist. When the students in the Star City were enjoying a rare 2 days holiday this month, the high school's teachers for the 3rd year had already reviewed the test papers. For these 3rd year's teachers, this was a painful and joyful pleasure. It's painful because they had to sacrifice their time and holiday time with their family to mark the test papers. It was joyful because they could see little improvements from their students' results. They were seeing the college entrance test like a bonus to entering higher education. Yang Jian's results are really good. His literature and languages test scored 128 points, mathematics 135 points, his comprehensive science test also got 242 points. If he can get more than 120 points in his English test, then he could pick most of the country's major universities. Hu Qiuxing read a few top students' statistics grades in the class with a satisfied expression. Actually, it was almost impossible for the 3rd year's teachers to completely review the examinees' tests papers in 1 day. But this didn't prevent the teachers in charge of their respective class to review the top students' tests in advance. Yang Jian's English results came out, 128 points. His total score has reached 633 points. Teacher Hu, congratulations. The 2 months he has spent working hard on this one finally bears fruit. Yang Jian is likely to be admitted to the Tsinghua University. Quickly, the Class 5 English teacher handed Yang Jian's English exam paper to Hu Qiuxing. Upon hearing Yang Jian got 633 points in the second monthly test, other teachers in the office could not help but look toward Hu Qiuxing with envious eyes, and then spoke words of congratulation to him one after another. Hey, Tang Lijuan from our class only got 610 points, it seems he only got second place again. Teacher Xiao, you don't need to sigh, even the first genius in our class only got 598 points. I don't know whether he would be able to enter the top 10 or not. This time, the difficulty degree for this monthly test was really raised too high compared to the last months. Its degree of difficulty is already close to the college entrance test. The students who are able to get more than 550 points should be able to enter prestigious universities. During most of the time today, these third-year's teachers had arranged the last month's highest scorer in the forefront on top of test papers that had been marked. They also basically knew quite well about this time's monthly tests results. All the tests papers had been marked, and there were 27 students who got 550 points or more, of which 12 of them came from Class 5, which was almost half of the total number. This made everyone become more envious to Hu Qiuxing's good luck, and at the same time, they also had no choice but to congratulate him one by one. Everyone still remembers my bet with Teacher Han, right? Having been flattered by numerous teachers for a while, Hu Qiuxing then spoke with a smug and conceited tone with a face full of an excited expression. Hu Qiuxing's words were like a pair of giant invisible hands that grabbed down on everyone's neck, making the office instantly quiet down. Looking at Hu Qiuxing's expression, which was seemingly blown up with success, everyone in the office subconsciously frowned with knitted brows. Never did they feel so disgusted with someone like this before. Oh, my wife has been calling me several times that I should go home quickly for dinner. See you everyone. It's too late today, if I don't go home, my girlfriend will be angry again. I can't continue reviewing the test papers again. See you everyone. Since the marking for top 20 students for each class's test papers have basically been completed, let's review the rest of the test papers tomorrow. Today everybody has worked hard, so let's go home to rest first. Under Hu Qiuxing's stunned and dumbfounded gaze, the room, which was previously full of people, was instantly emptied by the people who went home, leaving only him and Han Xingwu. Teacher Hu, you want to go home with everyone now, or do you want to personally mark Tang Xiu's test paper, and then rig it again? Han Xingwu looked at Hu Qiuxing and faintly smiled, with ridiculing expression. You. Hu Qiuxing was almost unable to breathe from a few words from Han Xingwu, as he sprouted out this you words and pointed to Han Xingwu's nose for a long time. Unable to speak a complete sentence, he finally gasped for a breath and slammed the door when he went out. Chapter 22, I'll become number 1. These last 2 days were undoubtedly the happiest time for Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu completely put aside his practice as well as studying. All day long, he was beside his mother, indulging himself to enjoy his mother's spoiling without the slightest restraint. Tang Xiu had long been longing such a wild hope, that one day he could have this day after living for 10,000 of years in the immortal world. And now, his long-cherished wish had finally come true. Therefore, Tang Xiu truly cherished each second he spent together with his mother. No matter what time, regardless of any place, Tang Xiu's eyes were unable to even lose sight of his mother's face even for a second. You Sonny, why do you always watch attentively and look at your mother's face? Is there any flowers growing on my face? Having felt her son fondly attached to her, joy filled Su Lingyun's heart, even though she couldn't help but scold him as well. Mom's face must be more beautiful than flowers. Tang Xiu blurted out without even thinking. Oily mouth and smooth talker, you certainly have a girlfriend at school. Hearing the praise from her son, happiness blossomed in Su Lingyun's heart, as she then scolded him with a happy expression. I do want to have a girlfriend, but unfortunately nobody looks at your son. Tang Xiu curled his lips and spoke in disdain. Han Qingwu's figure involuntarily flashed through Tang Xiu's mind after he said these words, as well as his intimate scene with her. That's because they are blind, they will regret it one day. Looking at her son's content and happy smiling face, Su Lingyun felt touched that her son was happily smiling. Su Lingyun affectionately stroked Tang Xiu's head and then hugged him. However, happy times have always been short. The 2 days of the monthly vacation had fleeted. Although Tang Xiu was extremely reluctant to go, he had no choice but to return to school since his mother urged him to. Have you heard that this monthly test's results have all come out? I heard that there are some students from our class that entered the top 20. I've heard that also. I didn't expect that apart from her outstanding abilities in sports and outside activities, Chang Yannan also excelled in studying. I've completely fallen for her. In the previous monthly test, Chang Yannan only got 400, how could her points suddenly increase by 100 points? When he just walked and entered the classroom, Tang Xiu heard everyone discussing the monthly test's results. Tang Xiu didn't participate in the discussion, but was racking his brains about some ways to make money. Having gone through the restaurant's smashing, followed by that loan shark debt collector's matter, Tang Xiu became more aware of the importance of having formidable strength. Tang Xiu knew that if he lacked strength just like when he had his rebirth, then, not only would have he and his mother been humiliated by those several bullies headed by He San, but those debt collectors from the Eternal Growth Trading Company could also have beaten them. It was too horrible to even imagine the consequences. It was precisely because he was lucky enough to fit the cultivation requirement and practice the heavenly art of cosmic origin, which caused his physical body to undergo an earth-shaking transformation, that he had the strength to face and defend himself against all kinds of crises at that time. However, practicing this heavenly art of cosmic origin also gave excessive and overbearing side effects. Tang Xiu didn't dare to actively practice this cultivation technique this month, and instead tried to find an alternative substitute for the heavenly art of cosmic origin with other martial skills and cultivation techniques. However, after having spent 1 month, even though Tang Xiu had tried every cultivation technique and martial skills in his memory, he despairingly found out that all those cultivation techniques and martial skills from the immortal world had harsh requirements regarding the need of heaven and earth spiritual energy. They simply were not suitable to be practiced on earth. Having realized that he had no means to practice all those cultivation techniques and martial skills in any situation, if Tang Xiu wanted to have the strength to protect his family and himself, moreover wanting to return to the immortal world to have his revenge, then, he must choose to practice this heavenly art of cosmic origin. But, in order to practice heavenly art of cosmic origin, Tang Xiu naturally had to find a way to find and buy all kinds of precious herbs and minerals in order to refine his bodily liquids, and use it to temper and refine his own body. This certainly would need massive amounts of money. If I were to draw magical charms and sell it, could it be regarded by people as snatching God's stick? Also, I don't know whether there are any other cultivators on Earth or not. If there are, it actually wouldn't be bad if I built a formation array and sold it to them to make money, would it? Or concocting pills and then selling them? Tang Xiu spent the whole night trying to find ways to make money only to find out by himself that the grand and sophisticated way of making money in the immortal world couldn't be applied on Earth. Eldest brother, even if we failed this exam, it really doesn't matter. There are still 2 months left till the college entrance test, so if we are willing to work hard, we can take the unified examination and be admitted to a university. Having seen Tang Xiu studying in the evening with his brows wrinkled, sighing voices, and wailing breath, Yuan Chuling was under the impression that Tang Xiu had already known about the monthly test's results and thus gave this kind of response. He gently spoke these comforting words as his sighed. Fatty, do you know any good way to make money? Upon hearing Yuan Chuling's words, Tang Xiu's eyes turned bright as he caught Yuan Chuling's arm and asked with an excited expression. Tang Xiu knew that the reason why he couldn't come out with any good way to make money was because he himself was only a bumpkin and had no business sense. On the other hand, he had been living for 10,000 years in the immortal world, and since he was only here for a little while, he still was unable to keep up with the senses and thoughts of the living rhythm on Earth. But Yuan Chuling was different. His parents were successful businessmen. Having grown up and been influenced by such a kind of business environment, both of his business sense and talent were certainly incomparable to his. Eldest brother, how much money do you want? I can lend you. Seeing an eager expression from Tang Xiu, Yuan Chuling froze for a moment, and then quickly replied in a bright tone. I don't want to borrow money, but want to make money. You tell me which is the world's most profitable business, or what is the fastest way to make money. Tang Xiu knew that Yuan Chuling misunderstood his words and replied while shaking his head. The quickest way to make money is certainly robbery, robbing a bank or jewelry shop. It doesn't need any business and could be built from nothing, it's enough to cover your current problems. Yuan Chuling blurted out and talked without even thinking. Upon hearing Yuan Chuling's remarks, Tang Xiu couldn't help but give him a supercilious look, then heavily slapped his shoulders, and snappily spoke, I'm serious, damn it. I'm dead serious in asking for your advice. If you don't want to rob or don't dare to rob, then you can only buy lottery tickets, it could even make you a billionaire overnight. However, this is being too reliant on luck. There is also speculating the stock market, albeit it needs a huge amount of capital as a support for the deed, but you also need to spend enough time and energy to study it meticulously. And this obviously doesn't suit you. Tang Xiu, if you want to make money then you can talk to me, I know a lot of ways to make money. Now, the most suitable for you is to become a top scorer in this year's provincial college entrance test. As long as you can be a top scorer on the college entrance test for our Shuangqing province, those kinds of bonus, endorsements, and advertisements will definitely roll in. Ordinary people could never make that much money in their entire lives. When Tang Xiu was happily talking with Yuan Chuling, an ill-timed voice abruptly stuck in and interrupted their conversation. Tang Xiu looked up and found that the one who was interrupting was Su Xiangfei. His brows wrinkled, and subconsciously, he had the urge to beat him. But Su Xiangfei's words nevertheless had him palpitate, sparking his interest. It caused him to repress the anger inside as he then asked Yuan Chuling, Fatty, does the top scorer of the college entrance test for the Shuangqing province really make a lot of money just like he said? Eldest brother, becoming the top scorer in the provincial's college entrance test is definitely worth the money. The point is that we couldn't even become a top scorer in the provincial college entrance test. It has been 13 years and not even one student from our Star City First High School is able to become the top scorer in the provincial's college entrance test. And if you can be the highest scorer for the provincial college entrance test, I think our school will even reward you 1 million in cash. Under Tang Xiu's eyes that were full of inquiries, with a face full of an agonized expression, Yuan Chuling nodded his head. I will die laughing. He actually really wants to take the top scorer for the college entrance test? Hey, it seems the rumors really are true. Tang Xiu's mind really has a problem. He said before that he must be number 1 on the test, and now he said he will become the top scorer for the provincial college entrance test. Maybe a few days later, he will proclaim that he will rush out of the universe. Upon seeing Tang Xiu's serious and earnest expression, Su Xiangfei led the other students in class 10, as they couldn't help but burst into laughter. Yuan Chuling's face flushed red in shame at the side, while Cheng Yannan, who was sitting in front of Tang Xiu, also slightly knitted her delicate eyebrows. Only Tang Xiu, who still had a light expression and sat undisturbed in the same place, didn't even move his ass. He only swept his eyes over the loudly laughing classmates surrounding him at the side with a calm and tranquil expression. There wasn't even rippling waves in his deep eyes, as if the one who was being ridiculed was not himself. Tang Xiu, the English and math exams papers have already been issued in advance. How many points did you get from these two preliminary subject tests? I suppose it would be unlikely that all completely got a salted duck's egg, right? 1. Having been out of breath due to laughing for quite a while, Su Xiangfei then asked. What? The exams papers had been sent down? How could it be that I didn't know about it, eh? Tang Xiu looked around with a blank expression, and then found that the monthly tests papers were really being put on everyone's desk. Tang Xiu, at this time, was only thinking about one thing, and since he was too single-mindedly and drowned in the thought about making money, he didn't even notice that the English and math exam papers had been issued in advance. Fatty, have you seen my monthly tests exam papers? Tang Xiu turned toward his desk and also looked at the floor, but he didn't find his monthly tests exam papers. He couldn't help but ask to Yuan Chuling at his side. Eldest brother, I haven't seen your monthly tests exam papers. I thought you had received it. Yuan Chuling replied quietly, just like the sound of mosquitoes. From the beginning, after the exam papers had been sent down, Yuan Chuling's attention was fully glued to the eye-catching bright red result on his results, and he didn't pay attention to whether Tang Xiu got his monthly tests exam papers or not. However, to Yuan Chuling's understanding about Tang Xiu, he didn't think that Tang Xiu was playing with him, but he knew that Tang Xiu might really have yet to get his monthly tests exam papers. So, Yuan Chuling was also confused and puzzled. I really could die because of laughing. You solemnly vowed to take the first grade before the test, and now you even afraid to show the monthly tests exam papers to everyone. It can truly be called as a misfortune to me. Could it be that the English test with the math turned out to be as I have predicted and feared, that all the tests got the salted duck's eggs? Upon seeing Tang Xiu's and Yuan Chuling's appearances that looked like they were pretending, Su Xiangfei couldn't help but laugh again. For each preliminary exam you only used less than half an hour to hand your exam paper and then leave. Other than making noises to get the attention from almost nearly the entire school, that our class has presented such a genius, I really don't know what to call it otherwise. Seizing the limelight to the extreme only to make a fool of yourself, and now you're also playing dumb. Tang Xiu, you haven't disgraced yourself enough in class 5 and actually came to our class 10 to disgrace yourself again. Your face is really very thick. Under Su Xiangfei's lead, the other students of class 10 let out an extreme ridicule to the highest degree of their abilities as they gathered around Tang Xiu, denouncing and sneering at him one sentence after another, missing only the cursing that pointed at Tang Xiu's nose. Tang Xiu, you come out. When Yuan Chuling was unable to bear it any longer and was about to come forward bravely, a crisp and sweet voice suddenly rang from the classroom's door. Hearing this familiar and full of majesty voice, the noises in the classroom abruptly ended, and everyone went back to their seats quickly, taking out pen and paper, pretending to calculate something. Chapter 23, It's not the most shameless, only more brazen. The one who suddenly appeared at the classroom's door was Han Qingwu. Han Qingwu's prestige had been firmly established after more than a year in charge of Class 10, and every student had extreme respect and love for her. Tang Xiu, do you know why teacher is calling you out? In the corridor outside, after staying silent for a moment, Han Qingwu asked in a soft voice. If my guess is right, it should be related to the monthly test, right? With his brain's processing speed far surpassing average people's, the moment Han Qingwu called him out in a loud voice, Tang Xiu had already understood about the matter, and naturally knew how to deal with it. Upon hearing Tang Xiu's answer, Han Qingwu fell into silence again as her round pair of beautiful eyes stared at Tang Xiu and watched him attentively. At the beginning, Tang Xiu also returned the gaze toward Han Qingwu with eyes full of sexual intentions. After a long while, Tang Xiu was finally defeated. Han Qingwu's expression was too pure with not even the slightest ill-meaning intention and anger, and Tang Xiu simply was unable to have the heart to blaspheme her pureness. Teacher Han. Aren't my English and math exam papers being confined by you? Could it be that after seeing my test's results, you think that I have cheated on the exam and you don't want me to make a fool of myself in front of the whole classmates, so you want to cover me? Although Han Qingwu hadn't said a word, Tang Xiu could read it from Han Qingwu's eyes. You really didn't cheat? Hearing Tang Xiu's words, Han Qingwu's tender body trembled while a disappointed expression flashed in her eyes. Teacher, do you remember the words I told you before the exam? Tang Xiu didn't answer Han Qingwu, but rather asked an irrelevant question. Han Qingwu's delicate white face suddenly turned rosy when she heard Tang Xiu's words. She clearly remembered that night before the exam, not only was Tang Xiu kissing her, he also deliberately baited her with words. So, she told him that she would be protecting and taking care of Tang Xiu for a lifetime. Teacher Han, before the exam, I've said that I will take this monthly test seriously to ensure that Hu Qiuxing will regret it and even make him deeply regret. You shouldn't have forgotten it. Seeing the puzzled and not understanding expression from Han Qingwu's garish and beautiful face, Tang Xiu knew that Han Qingwu's thoughts were straying as he then smiled and reminded her. Do you also remember that you said such words? Then why did you make such big scene when you took this monthly test? You were bursting into tears and were in a daze in the language and literature exam room. Why did you hand over the exam papers after answering the test for less than half an hour? Did you want to make teacher disappointed? Upon hearing Tang Xiu's words, Han Qingwu was unable to suppress the restlessness in her heart. Even her voice imperceptibly increased by several decibels. When Tang Xiu heard it, he only smiled wryly and couldn't help but touch his nose, while an embarrassed expression was fully drawn on his face. Teacher Han, the process is not important, but the results are. As long as the results are very good, everything is all right, is it not? Tang Xiu faced the classroom with a pouted mouth and replied in a soft voice. The results are very good. Ah, you big-headed demon. Your scores are too fake. The language and literature's exam got 140 points, 150 points for English test, 150 points for math test, and comprehensive science test is 272 points, with total score reaching 712 points. You've even surpassed the genius Yang Jian who successively became the top scorer on the monthly test, who only got 633 this time. Yours are 79 points higher than him. This shows that I am more of a genius than him. Ah. Teacher Han, shouldn't you be happy for me? So why do you look like you're very angry? With a puzzled expression, Tang Xiu asked back. I am very happy, and even too happy. However, that bastard Hu Qiuxing said that you were cheating on the test. When I insisted on watching the surveillance video in the exam room, he even said that someone was lying. He, from the very start, never believed that you might get such results from the test. Let alone him, even the whole third year's teachers, no one believes that you can get this kind of result on the test. Upon seeing that Tang Xiu seemingly hadn't truly realized the seriousness of the problem, Han Qingwu couldn't help but roar. Teacher, be calm, you need to be calm. Seeing that not only several heads were popping out from his classroom, but also some people from other classrooms were attracted to see the commotion due to Han Qingwu's shout, Tang Xiu quickly reminded her. You're the one who should be calm, big demon. Now Hu Qiuxing even insisted that because you got such good results at the test, it's entirely because you had read the test paper's questions in advance, but also made oblique charges that since I couldn't afford to lose, then I deliberately leaked the test paper's questions to you. Now you tell me, what's to be done with this matter? Han Qingwu stared straight as she approached Tang Xiu, angrily appealing him with a charming and lovable expression. Han Qingwu didn't realize that her manner at this time she had completely forgotten her own self. In front of Tang Xiu, Han Qingwu seemed not like a teacher, but more like a pair of friends. What, he was so shameless. Tang Xiu apparently had never thought that his sudden outbreak would result in such a counterproductive effect. Previously, Tang Xiu thought to hide his strength and then improve his test scores bit by bit, making it seem natural. Thus, it would be easier for everyone to believe it. But every time Tang Xiu thought of that snob, Hu Qiuxing's face, anger filled his heart, not to mention there were also Yang Jian, and another group of people such as Su Xiangfei who were cynical, mocking and ridiculing him. Which then made Tang Xiu suddenly change his previous thought. Even if he got a moderate score on the test, as long as he was progressing, he would certainly be suspected of copying and cheating. Besides, their test results were average in general, so everyone could have suspected that he was copying someone and cheating. Thus, he might as well leap up in a single bound. Therefore, the others would be unable to suspect that he was cheating and copying others' tests. But since he got the highest score, who else could have been his target for copying? After having listened to Han Qingwu's explanation, only then did Tang Xiu realize that for people with noble nature, even if you shot him from behind, he would only suspect that the gun was only being shot accidentally. But for people without shame, even if you do better, they could and would always find countless reasons to discredit you. Tang Xiu, if you and teacher ensured that your test scores are true and valid, I have a way to clear up your name, so that bastard, Hu Qiuxing, has to apologize to you. Upon seeing Tang Xiu's excited expression, a trace of strange expression flashed from Han Qingwu's eyes. She had unexpectedly believed Tang Xiu's words. Han Qingwu was speaking in English for this sentence. Although she believed Tang Xiu's words, she still couldn't help but want to test Tang Xiu and find out if Tang Xiu was really as he said, that he had already achieved the first grade standard. Teacher Han, in fact, I wanted to tell you that after the accident. Although there was a problem with my brain, but my performance actually didn't fall. I just become tired of the tests, so my grades became so bad. Do you believe me? Tang Xiu was perfectly aware that jumping up from the bottommost grade to the topmost grade was also a little bit too unbelievable, so he simply weaved a lie. Of course, Tang Xiu also replied this sentence in English. Seeing that Tang Xiu not only fully understood the content in her English sentence, but also used such authentic and fluent American English to reply to her with confidence, Han Qingwu's eyes instantly brightened. Tang Xiu, are you really not joking with teacher? After having been lost in words for a moment, Han Qingwu responded back to the of Tang Xiu's previous words while couldn't help feeling overjoyed. Teacher Han, I can lie to you for once, but I couldn't deceive you the next. Whether what I've said is true or false, you can find out in the next 2 monthly tests, right? Tang Xiu blinked his eyes and replied with a smile on his face. Good, great, I can imagine that Hu Qiuxing would regret it, and even vomit blood at once tomorrow. After having gotten positive answers from Tang Xiu's mouth, Han Qingwu couldn't help but burst into a happy laughter, and then handed over the English and math exam papers to Tang Xiu. After taking the exam papers, Tang Xiu then leisurely returned back into the classroom as Han Qingwu left with a relieved and eased feeling. When Tang Xiu had almost entered the classroom, the evening bell indicating the end of studying time ringed in the school, causing the previously still and quiet school to be thrown into rocks of a lake and instantly boil up. Tang Xiu cleaned up his desk and then quietly left school. Previously, Yuan Chuling had told him a lot of ways to make money. Although Yuan Chuling himself didn't seem to be reliable, but Tang Xiu really considered his words. Of course, Tang Xiu didn't come out this time for robbing, neither was it to buy lottery tickets, nor to speculate the stock market. Half an hour later, Tang Xiu's figure appeared in a game hall called Health and Prosper Club. Tang Xiu had long known the existence of this game hall, and even repeatedly passed this place, albeit he had never entered. He only knew that there were many boys in the school who were addicted to the game hall and often spent their pocket money in this place, as well as always coming out from this place cheerfully. When he had just stepped into the game hall, Tang Xiu couldn't help but cover his nose. Even his straight and nice-looking brows were wrinkled upwards and slanted. Tang Xiu was almost suffocated since the game hall was very noisy with shouts and screams, filled with lingering smoke with a bad stench. It was completely a different world compared to the outside. But remembering his goals, Tang Xiu held back his impulse to run out. The game hall was about 400 square meters large, and had all kinds of slot machines, with a variety of slot machine designs inside. There were all kinds of large and small slot machines ordered in 6 rows, for a total of 100 pieces. Almost every slot machine was surrounded by a few people, or even a dozen people standing there. It was truly unexpected that such a small game hall could actually gather over 1,000 people. And to Tang Xiu's surprise, he even found that amongst these more than 1,000 people, even less than a half were wearing uniforms and mostly were from neighboring schools. With regards to minors, gambling machines are way too deceptive for them. At first, many minors were thinking that they were only playing games. The results were that they finally became addicted to them and abandoned their studies. This game hall was opened in the middle of the downtown area and didn't even ban students from entering. This bad influence is really too much. Silently observing the crazy and lively scene in the game hall, a disgusting feeling rose in Tang Xiu's heart toward the game hall. Tang Xiu didn't immediately start, but silently watched the method to play with the slot machine. With such amount of people inside the game hall, Tang Xiu's behavior didn't cause any attention. An hour later, Tang Xiu went to the new waiter and exchanged 10 coins before he lined up behind a slot machine. The basic operation of the slot machine was very simple. One only needed to insert the coin and then pull down the handle. If the symbols in the box in the middle were matched, then one could get the reward money, while the sum of money was related to the odds with the symbol's occurrences. Sometimes even if it didn't match, if a specific symbol jumped out, you still could have a certain reward, and this symbol was usually a cherry. Sometimes, the machine will set a universal symbol that could substitute and match any other symbols, and the reward for this omnipotent symbol was greater than the usual reward. However, making money out of slot machines was very difficult, and Tang Xiu had been observing it for an hour. Most people playing slot machines basically didn't get much yield. Even if some people occasionally had small wins, they would soon lose the money they had won. With his fast brain's operating speed that was far above ordinary people's, Tang Xiu already familiarized himself with the rate of return for each slot machine from this hour of observation. He also knew the rules of each slot machine in his mind. Tang Xiu, it's actually really you. I thought I had seen the wrong person. You have no money to pay your tuition, but you're rich enough to play slot machines in the game hall. Just wow. You are really awesome. Just when Tang Xiu's turn was about to come, someone's barks suddenly came out of nowhere and bursted near Tang Xiu's ears, causing Tang Xiu to have no choice but to shift his attention from the slot machine and look back. Chapter 24, The Good Luck That Makes People Jealous. The someone that suddenly appeared at Tang Xiu's side was Su Xiangfei. In order to pressure the third-year students to study more, the Star City First High School purposefully increased the difficulties for the last monthly test's questions, so the average results for the Star City First High School students in this monthly test were far from ideal. Su Xiangfei's results were also only average. When the last monthly test's results came out, it almost made him cry without tears. Only until he found that the class's average results were also low did he feel relieved. But, despite this fact, after having seen his own marks, Su Xiangfei's mood plummeted into an unprecedented abyss. He endured to stay and study with great difficulty until the end of the first studying session, and then he immediately pulled the other 2 students to come to the Health and Prosper Club to vent his feelings. But Su Xiangfei had never thought that he would encounter a familiar face in this game hall, much less that this familiar person was the most improbable person that was likely to appear in this place. Tang Xiu only glanced once at Su Xiangfei before he retracted his sight again, because the person that lined up in front of Tang Xiu had spent all of his money and it was his turn to play this slot machine. Tang Xiu didn't want to delay his money-making project only because of Su Xiangfei. All slot machines programs had been preset beforehand and only produced random prizes, so it was difficult to find a way to win steadily. However, through careful observations and calculations, Tang Xiu found that there were still some ways to increase the odds of winning, or at least to win a certain prize. In most cases, when the slot machine had been used for a certain amount of time, it would be out of a symbol pattern, and there was a great chance to twist around the prize symbols from the symbol pool. For Tang Xiu's financial state, he naturally couldn't have many game coins to play. However, this didn't prevent him from winning the prize. One thing that must be known was that many people in the game hall were lining up only to have fun with the slot machine, not to mention that those people obviously only played to vent their feelings or came here to test their luck. They neither read the symbol table nor studied the symbol's occurrence odds and rate of return. Tang Xiu had spent a full hour to observe the symbol table, while also thoroughly analyzing the game coin's accumulative rate from hundreds of slot machines in the game hall inside his mind. After he silently observed and calculated the number of cues in front of the slot machine, as well as the numbers of game coins they had, Tang Xiu decisively chose to line up in front of this slot machine. When the person in the line in front of him had spent his game coins, Tang Xiu subconsciously felt relieved. Even though there was a little deviation in Tang Xiu's calculation, and this slot machine's symbol's prizes in the pool were twisted, but it would be unrelated to him, because he only needed to insert 5 game coins to play and win the prize from this slot machine. For fear that someone would cut the line, the moment the person in front of him had just left, Tang Xiu didn't hesitate to insert his game coins in the slot machine, and then immediately pressed the spin button. Because of Tang Xiu's action, the 3 patterns in the slot machine's glass frame quickly spun, and if specific patterns, such as 3 identical patterns, would appear, then the prize money that it gave would be higher. After a few seconds, the pattern stopped spinning, but the slot machine didn't ring anything. You country bumpkin, why did you move that fast? You have never played a slot machine, it seems. Playing with slot machines is not dependent on the movement, but on luck. Seeing Tang Xiu carelessly throwing his game coins and failing, Su Xiangfei couldn't help but burst into a loud laughter. Tang Xiu was too lazy to look at Su Xiangfei as he inserted the game coins and then pressed the spin button again. After a few seconds, the pattern stopped spinning again, but the slot machine still didn't ring. Hey, buddy, this machine seems to have gone bad. It only swallows money but won't spit any. I have been seeing it for half an hour and not even once have I seen it give out any game coins. I say, you don't need to waste your game coins on this slot machine. Having seen that Tang Xiu had inserted the game coins for 2 consecutive times without any response from the machine, someone from the crowd loudly reminded him. Tang Xiu glanced at that youth gratefully and then continued to dig the game coins from his trousers. Tang Xiu, bah, your mind indeed has a problem. He said that this machine has a problem, but you still throw your money on this machine. You don't have any other place for you to spend, do you? Clearly looking at Tang Xiu's reaction from his eyes, Su Xiangfei couldn't help but mutter. Tang Xiu ignored Su Xiangfei and continued inserting the coins on the coin slot. This time, Tang Xiu didn't immediately press the spin button but pressed the erase, and then inserted another coin into the machine again. Having repeated this action twice, Tang Xiu's fingers then grabbed the spin button above. The most exciting feat from the slot machine was the prize accumulation, jackpot. Not every slot machine had a jackpot. Generally, if you play the English version of the casino game machine, you could see progressive slot. That was a cumulative prize pool. But if you wanted to win the pot, it would need 3 chips for each bet. Once it hit the marked symbol on the prize pool, then all game coins in the slot machine would be spat out. The reason why Tang Xiu inserted 2 game coins in front was exactly due to it being the most appropriate time to get the biggest bet. Your brain indeed has a problem, and not light it seems. Let's go play there, looking at this idiot only gives me a heart attack. Upon seeing Tang Xiu repeatedly ignore him, he was unable to vent his anger, so Su Xiangfei turned around and left after muttering to himself. In the next moment, Su Xiangfei's body was felt like it was struck by paralyzing technique as he stood motionless. Su Xiangfei had almost turned his body when, in a split second after, crisp and clear tinkling sounds passed into his ears. Having often come to the game hall to play, Su Xiangfei clearly knew that this was the sound of winning the prize money, and also the heavy winning one. Subconsciously, Tang Xiu's action of filling coins for 2 consecutive times flashed through Su Xiangfei's mind. The jackpot, he actually hit the jackpot. An absurd thought boiled from Su Xiangfei's mind, making him subconsciously yell out loudly. When the slot machine issued sharp and crisp tinkling sounds, not only was Su Xiangfei stunned, but the crowd who was standing around the slot machine to watch was also shocked. Because the sounds exuding from this slot machine was a bit too long. The sounds coming from this slot machine really caused a big stir. Not only did it attract the people who played games nearby, but also attracted the game hall's boss. What happened? What happened? Who broke my machine? A short and plump, full of fat middle-aged man, shouted and squeezed in front of the slot machine. His mouth was slightly twitching when he saw a lot of game coins everywhere on the floor, and then immediately laughed loudly. Ah! Congratulations to you, little brother, this machine hasn't given a prize money for a month yet. But you actually have run into good luck, it is estimated that it hit up to tens of thousands, yes? Facing the boss's cordial smile, Tang Xiu was quite unable to give any response first, since the boss didn't reveal any painful expression at this time. Or maybe he was simply pushing the excuse that the slot machine was having a problem, and then denied him of winning a lot of game coins? Tang Xiu immediately understood the reason in the next moment. The boss was all smiling after Tang Xiu had said something, after which he immediately turned around to everyone in the game hall. Everyone, you all can see that our slot machines in the Health and Prosper Club are 100% okay. Small investment and huge returns. It's simply investing a dime to earn $1 million. Except for robbery, never will you find any job that could make money like this compared to this one. Upon hearing the game hall's boss's words, Tang Xiu sneered in his heart endlessly. According to Tang Xiu's observation, the game hall's slot machines were obviously tapped and machinated by the boss. Not only did it have low winning odds, but the prize money was also much lower. The reason why the slot machine being used by Tang Xiu gave this abnormal result was because too many people had played this slot machine today, which was already beyond the boss's control. Under the boss's misleading enticement, the game hall instantly boiled. People who originally intended to watch the fun also ran to the counter to buy game coins, while people who previously only intended to buy a few game coins to test the water were now also increasing their purchase amount, without hesitation. As for the veteran-addicted hardcore players, they waved stacks of paper money and ran to the counter. For a moment, a smile blossomed on the game hall's boss's face. It's only 18,000 game coins, damn, this game hall's boss is really stingy. After Tang Xiu clearly estimated the game coins in his hands, he couldn't help but pout his mouth, and then went to the counter to convert those coins into money. However, Tang Xiu didn't completely convert all game coins into money, but left 100 pieces of game coins and continued to play in the game hall. Yo buddy, you don't have any game coins? Then I'll give you some, and anyways, thanks for your kind reminder before. When he accidentally passed a slot machine, Tang Xiu saw someone who was sighing in a vexed tone and was about to leave the slot machine. And since Tang Xiu was in a buoyant mood, he threw 20 game coins to him. The reason why Tang Xiu still vividly remembered this man was because this youth was bald-shaved, and second, because this bald youth was the only one that kindly reminded him amongst so many onlookers at that time. Ha! Ah! It's you, thank you buddy. If I win then you can have half of the money. This bald youth obviously had never expected that he would get such a surprising joy. When he saw Tang Xiu clearly, he just brazenly took the game coins and turned around to play again with full spirit. This bald youth obviously had been drowned in a deep addiction, because he almost put the biggest bet for each gambling stake. Saving only 6 coins, he fully threw all of his game coins given by Tang Xiu into the slot machine. The bald youth was thinking that this time, he was really in vain and only wasted all of his money to the game hall's boss, when suddenly, Clear and loud clinking sounds exuded from the slot machine as game coins spit out from it at the next moment. This. I made it. Looking at the game coins on the floor, the bald youth loudly cheered and then rushed up. Although the game coins won by this bald youth at this time were not as many as Tang Xiu's, it was around 4,000 game coins. Not only was he able to win back all the money he had lost, but he also had a slight surplus, of which naturally made him excited. Of course, the thing that made this bald youth most happy was that he finally won a game from the game hall, rather than usually making him lose and become a bottomless pit. The anger and vexed feeling in his heart finally got vented. "Buddy, these game coins are yours, we'll play again later." The bald youth casually grabbed some of the game coins, and then put the rest of the game coins into Tang Xiu's hands. Tang Xiu wanted to refuse, but found that the bald youth had already gone in a flash. He couldn't even find his shadow. He reluctantly received and took the rest of the game coins, then went to the counter to convert a large numbers of game coins to paper money. Su Xiangfei was behind Tang Xiu with a foolish expression in his eyes. Su Xiangfei usually refrained from drowning himself in the Health and Prosper Club. But almost all of his pocket money was spent in the game hall, and although Su Xiangfei sometimes won some game coins, he soon lost it once more. But in just a few minutes, Su Xiangfei had been watching Tang Xiu's track, as he not only won nearly 20,000 game coins, but also received gifts of several thousands of game coins, which made Su Xiangfei jealous. Chapter 25, Refusing the Toast, Only to be Forced to Drink. Su Xiangfei wasn't the only one who had a foolish expression in the face. The other two classmates behind him also fell into the same predicament. Tang Xiu does really go out of the door and tread his step on. He could actually win so much money in the game hall. I have visited the game hall so many times, but this is my first time seeing someone win so much money in the game hall. This is what's called an idiot's luck. If Tang Xiu's brain was normal, he couldn't have won so much money. Su Duanxin and Tan Lichuan were watching Tang Xiu with a face full of envy. They wished that the one who had won the money was not Tang Xiu but them. What does Tang Xiu have to deserve being envied, huh? His grades are the bottommost for the entire year. With the problem with his brain, not only would he fail to enter university, he would also face problems in the future. Don't tell me that you think these 20,000 game coins could let him eat and drink for a lifetime? Su Xiangfei stared at his two followers and spoke out of disdain. Su Xiangfei didn't notice that he was talking with a voice mixed with a sour taste. Although Tang Xiu also noticed Su Xiangfei and the other two classmates' presence, and even heard that they were talking about him, however, Tang Xiu didn't put their words in his heart, since he simply didn't have time to pay attention to them. A few minutes later, Tang Xiu's vision locked to another slot machine inside the game hall. Judging from this slot machine's rules, to win the prize money, it would need to swallow at least another 100 game coins before it can spit out game coins. But Tang Xiu had long calculated the odds of this slot machine would give 100 game coins in exchange for 8,000 game coins. This seems to be quite a worthwhile transaction. Tang Xiu murmured and then unhurriedly stood behind the slot machine's queue. If Tang Xiu had just entered the game hall, he would be reluctant to spend 100 game coins to play slot machines. But Tang Xiu had won 18,000 game coins today and then received more than 3,000 game coins, so he simply didn't care about these 100 game coins. Since Tang Xiu's action had stirred up the game hall and attracted a lot of people's attention, it made many people subconsciously encircle around Tang Xiu when he began inserting game coins again. Even Su Xiangfei's trio were no exception. Regarding the onlookers who were standing in a circle and watching, never once did Tang Xiu care about them. He just slowly filled the game coins into the slot machine in front of everyone, and then pressed the spin button. At first, everyone also had wild expectations from Tang Xiu, since they thought that because Tang Xiu could win twice, and then he would be sure to win the third time. But when everyone saw Tang Xiu continuously insert coins into the slot machine for 20 times, and didn't hear nor see any sounds, the onlookers gradually scattered. I thought a god of gamble came here, but I didn't expect he was also trying his own luck. It's because we were thinking too much. Playing slot machines is, of course, dependent on luck. How the hell could it depend on skills to win? Otherwise, the boss would be in extreme deficit. Bah, pretending to be so unpredictable, as if he's like the god of gamble's reincarnation. Damn, I really wasted my feelings in vain. He knew that amongst those onlookers that stood around watching him, not only were real onlookers there, but several employees from the game hall must also be mixed in amongst them. And they obviously wanted to watch as to how he used his tricks to hit the jackpot. Along with Tang Shou's repeatedly losing game coins, nobody suspected anything about Tang Shou's jackpot winning. But this fact also made Tang Shou alarmed. This game hall was obviously not like how its boss had shown the generosity on the surface. On the contrary, this game hall was very stingy and narrow-minded, and it seemed that the game hall's background was even more complicated. When Tang Shou had inserted 113 game coins into the slot machine, it finally exuded pleasant cheers, and then a large number of game coins sprayed out. What the hell, it couldn't be, right? He hit the jackpot again? How could he be so awesome? If we also count the baldy who won the prize money before, this dude has hit the jackpot for 3 times today. This luck is way too ridiculous. After Tang Shou hit the jackpot, the previously scattered crowd once again flocked to his side and looked at him with burning hot eyes. It had to be said that if Tang Shou's first jackpot was but only luck, then Tang Shou's help for the baldy to hit the jackpot could be called as a coincidence. But Tang Shou's third jackpot's hit definitely couldn't be explained as only luck and coincidence. Eldest brother, you are my eldest brother. Can you teach me how to play the slot machines? When Tang Shou was cleaning up the game coins leisurely, the baldy suddenly squeezed out from the crowd and grabbed Tang Shou's arm as he began to beg excitedly. Previously, when Tang Shou was on that slot machine, this baldy only grabbed dozens of game coins and had long spent all of it. Then he suddenly saw that Tang Shou won again. This baldy started to see Tang Shou just like a celestial being, and immediately pestered Tang Shou without hesitation. Regarding this baldy's brazen and familiar behavior, Tang Shou subconsciously knitted his brows and was slightly regretting helping that baldy before. But Tang Shou also quite appreciated this baldy's fervent and frank attitude, so he didn't make things difficult for him and instead joked and teased him. The casino certainly will lose its brilliant light because of your baldness. If you can keep your hair, you also will be able to win. Having finished his words, he didn't wait for the baldy for the answer. Tang Shou got up and left. Behind Tang Shou, the baldy slowly stroked his smooth and slippery bald head as he saw Tang Shou leave and looked at his back, while his face showed a thinking expression. I've won 30,000 game coins from this game hall. In the end, should I continue playing, or quit while I'm ahead? After he exchanged more than 8,000 game coins in his hands for paper money again, Tang Shou glanced at the game hall's boss, whose face was fully covered with a tense expression, as if he was falling into a tangle. Little brother, this is my little regard, please receive it. When Tang Shou had yet to make up his mind, the game hall's boss, Li Konglong, quickly took out a stack of paper money from the drawer and handed it to Tang Shou, with a face full of a pleading expression. Tang Shou was frozen for a moment and then understood the boss thought. Are you insulting me, or insulting yourself? Having swept the paper money on his hand, Tang Shou asked with a disdain tone. It was because Tang Shou saw that the stack of paper money in the hands of the game hall's boss was too thin, and he could easily determine that the money in his hand would be no more than 2,000 yuan. If Tang Shou were to continue playing in the game hall, he certainly could sweep away the entire game hall, of which wouldn't amount to 2,000 game coins, but it possibly could be 100,000 to 200,000 game coins. But the game hall's boss actually wanted to use 2,000 yuan to kick him out, which made Tang Shou unable to throw away his previous thought and vanish, and instead gave birth to a trace of anger out of nowhere. Brat, if you're smart and tactful, then take our boss money and get the fuck out. Otherwise, not only must leave behind all the money you have won in the game hall, but you also must stay here. Just when Tang Xiu's words had just finished, a gloomy and probing-like voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Tang Xiu turned around and followed the voice's direction and saw from the side a tattooed youth with sinister and fierce look, was glaring at him like a tiger watching its prey. There were also several punk-styled youths standing next to the tattooed youth. These punks' haircut was peculiar as well as clad in exaggerated attire, and they faintly blocked the game hall's entrance, encircling Tang Xiu in the middle. Boss, is this your way to entertain the patrons? Tang Xiu looked at the boss's face with a proud expression and asked in a sharp and stern voice. What? Do you have any complaints? Li Konglong sneered. I was thinking that I also wanted to quit while I'm ahead. But since the boss says otherwise, then it seems that I have no better options than continue playing. Upon seeing the game hall's boss expression that seemed like wanted to eat him, Tang Xiu couldn't help but let out a sneer, and then turned around and walked to the center of the game hall. Those few punk-styled youth were merely only blocking the game hall's entrance, and they absolutely didn't even expect that Tang Xiu still had the mood to continue playing the slot machines in this kind of situation. For a moment, they couldn't help but stand still and stare blankly. Until Tang Xiu had finally slipped into the crowd, Li Konglong, the tattooed youth and the others could only reveal a "how could it be?" expression on their faces. From what background does this brat come from? He really got the balls. How did I never hear there was such a character on the streets? Recalling Tang Xiu's neither humble nor arrogant manner just now, and coupled with Tang Xiu's words when he turned away, an uneasy feeling suddenly gushed out from Li Konglong's heart. Boss, the Ensemble Heroes Street is our turf, while you and the City Council's Public Security Division's Chief Wang Hao are sworn brothers. Don't tell me that you are afraid of a smelly brat that has even yet to grow his hair? Having heard the boss whisper, the tattooed youth spoke in a disdaining tone. Who said I was afraid of him? I'm just curious about the identity of this brat. He can still talk and laugh even though he's surrounded by us. Either he's really awesome or not, but we haven't heard of such a character on the Ensemble of Heroes Street. So he is obviously one. Why the hell all of you staring at me? If you let him take the advantage to slip away out of chaos, all of you get the fuck out. Li Konglong fiercely stared at the tattooed youth, immediately straightening his chest, and then yelled his orders out loudly. On the other side, the baldy youth thought for a long time before he came over and responded to Tang Xiu's jokes at him before. When he chased him to the counter at the office, he happened to see the conflict between Tang Xiu and the game hall's boss. Having eavesdropped the conversation between the game hall's boss with the security guards, a happy smile emerged from the baldy's face. Li Konglong, I heard that you want to deal with my eldest brother, eh? Not waiting for the security guards to be dispersed, the baldy youth then went over to the counter while smiling and greeted Li Konglong with a condescending tone. Why you are young Master Long, you honor me to visit my small shop. When he heard someone was shouting his name in such exceptionally arrogant manner, Li Konglong couldn't help but carefully look and size up that person. However, in the next moment, Li Konglong's eyes instantly turned wide while surprise and excitement covered his face. Because this person's background was really big, and even a few words from him could decide the life and death of Li Konglong's game hall. However, the youth in front of him was usually very low-key, to the extent that only a small circle of people knew about his existence. Even Li Konglong only happened to see this person a few times due to chance and luck. He didn't dare to continue sizing him up before and was not especially familiar with this person. But since this person greeted Li Konglong on his own initiative and also stared at him with a teasing expression, Li Konglong absolutely couldn't think how this condescending person would come to play at his game hall. Young Master Long, you must be mistaken, even if you lend me 100 gallbladders. I wouldn't even dare to deal with your eldest brother. Recalling Long Jinglin's previous remarks, Li Konglong hurriedly apologized. Li Konglong hadn't yet finished speaking his words, but Long Jinglin raised his palm and fiercely slapped Li Konglong's face. One thing that I really loathe is the kind of people like you who only want to win but can't afford to lose to others. If others also open a game hall and acted like you, then people could only enter and can never get out. Do you think we're also some fucking idiots?
Ha!
Long Jinglin's slap to Li Konglong's face made him stare stupidly, since he had never thought that Long Jinglin, who had been usually a smiling-like youth from next door, could have such a violent side. Li Konglong, you listen to me, the one who just came to you to exchange coins before, is my elder brother. What and how he wants to play here, if you dare to play dirty, I don't mind playing with you. Under Li Konglong's confused and puzzled eyes, Long Jinglin dropped his words before leaving quickly. Upon hearing Long Jinglin's words, Li Konglong felt like he was struck and killed by lightning, while that tattooed youth's group was also completely taken aghast.